There it goes. Okay, I'd like to start by saying this meeting will be recorded and posted to the Township Video website. Now you can submit public comment by email to glippincott@westrockHilltownship.org. We will take public comment until the end of the meeting, and we will read the public comment prior to the vote at the end of the meeting, depending on what is appropriate. I'd like to start off by calling this meeting to order for April 20th, 2022. And I would like to start off by pledge allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, I'd like to start by asking if there's any public comment on the agenda items. If so, please state your name and address. Seeing none, announcements. I would like to make a.
Mr. Chairman, I think
I'm
Jim
sorry.
Miller raised his hand.
Yep. Okay, Jim Miller. Mr. Miller, you have the floor.
You're muted, Jim.
I apologize. Thank you. Jim Miller, Thousand Acre Road.
No problem.
I just have a parliamentary question here. I have a question about the Sellersville West Rock Hill Joint Rec Authority report, and I didn't know if you wanted me to hold it until then or as part of the agenda item.
If we can we hold it towards till we get to the agenda item?
Absolutely, no problem.
Okay, thanks, Jim.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, seeing no other, I would like announcements. I'd like to make an announcement. Mr. Frank Shemendera, who has been a longtime resident and volunteer of the township, passed away a couple weeks ago. I'd like to take a brief moment of silence in remembrance of Frank. Thank you all. For those of you who didn't know, Frank probably was at almost every meeting there was for probably the last 15 years or so. And my involvement with Frank, I considered Frank a friend. Frank was always someone that gave his opinion and was not afraid to tell you his thoughts or his complaints with the township, as well as the things that he thought we were doing good for the township. Frank served on the Joint Rec Authority as well as the Planning Commission. And he was in my opinion, a great volunteer to this township. I would like to thank his family, his wife, Pris, and his daughters for allowing Frank and putting up with Frank to be involved and give so much time away from his family for the township, because he truly enjoyed this township. And I know that he also was an avid member and was an avid member of the West Rock Hill Historical Society. And I believe if anyone would like to make a contribution in Frank's name, it can be done to the West Rock Hill Township Historical Society. I believe I read that in the obituary. So thank you, Frank, and thank you, Frank's family, for his volunteerism in this great community. Thank you.
And that fund has started.
Excuse me?
That fund has started.
Yes, thank you, Hal. All right, moving forward, consent agenda. Has either of my two fellow supervisors had a chance to review? Do you have any corrections, additions, changes regarding the consent agenda? If not, I will ask for a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Mr. Chairman, excuse me, is Mr. Lippincott going to read the treasurer's report?
Yes, he is. Yep. Greg, go ahead. You can read the treasurer's report.
Okay, the treasurer's report for March 31st, 2022. The general fund, $931,350.42. Highway aid, $20,702.66. Open space, $1,226,847.09. Park fund, $39,650.09. The equipment fund, $4,228.54. Highway capital, $129.97. The street light fund, $33,544.11. The reserve funds, the general fund reserve, $427,800.03. The American Rescue Plan Fund, $273,810.68. Open Space Manderfield, $41,438.74. The Sewage Maintenance Fund, $184,476.56. The Stormwater Fund, $8,591.89. And the escrow funds, $2,407,676.59.
Okay, are there any additions, corrections to that report?
I have none.
I have none. I've read through and everything looks correct. No changes. No
Okay,
comments.
can I entertain a motion for approval?
I move to approve.
All right, have a motion made.
I'll second that, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Collingwood. Second has been made. All those signify by saying aye.
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 Thank you. Consent agenda passes. All right, confirmed appointments, moving along. I don't see any on here. There are no confirmed appointments. Next on the agenda here is committee reports. First up is Planning Commission. Chris. You're muted, Chris. There you go.
How about now?
You're good.
All right, I'm using it. All right, thank you. All right, so Planning Commission met last week. We had two applicants. The first was Monty Beagle. They own the old service station on Ridge Road in Almont. He's looking to build two, just about 5,000 square foot pole barns for storage on the property. It's a non-conforming use now, so they needed to get relief, which the relief came some kind. One of them being that the building can be used for storage only. Be no facilities in the building. The property is in a village center. They do antique car restoration type work there, and he wants to use the new buildings for just storage of cars, either that are ready or in mid-stream of preparedness. They had a few waiver requests, one of which was curb and sidewalk, and we did have a lengthy discussion about curb and sidewalk, being that it was in the village center there, as well as trail connectivity. And the long and short of it all, we decided that it would grant that waiver on curb and sidewalk, just not knowing what the future is going to be in the village there. Aside from that, it's pretty basic stuff. So we did vote to recommend preliminary final on the project. Any questions on that?
No, I have none.
Green Top Road.
David Collingwood. Excuse me, Mr.
Hang on,
Chairman. I was at the meeting and I have a question about what was the final resolution again on the walkability through the village? I know that the discussion was around walking trails behind and through the property, and also the discussion of sidewalks and whether we wanted them now or later, or at least have a provision for them in the future. And I just wasn't sure if it was clear. It wasn't clear in my mind what the final resolution of that was.
David, I heard him say they granted the waiver. I think he said they recommended it. They can't grant it, but they recommend it, I think.
Yeah, they recommended the waiver, but ultimately it is up to the Board of Supervisors.
And just for clarification, don't we have
Okay.
Go ahead, Chris. Sorry.
Yes, Your Honor.
I'm sorry, I missed all Dave's conversation. For some reason, I've gotten some connectivity issues tonight.
Try again, Dave. David.
Running better.
Chris, I just wanted to be sure that it was clear what the final, about the discussion. I was part of the meeting and it was confusing to me. There was a lot talked about walkability through the village. They talked about the trails behind the property. Then there was talk about sidewalks. And then do we want sidewalks now? Or if we don't want sidewalks now, are we going to put something in place that guarantees that we can do sidewalks in the future, depending on how a village center eventually evolves? And I just want to make sure that that's clear before we do the conditional preliminary final approval. And I think Mr. Lippincott had a comment.
Understood. Did Greg clear that up for you?
I said that you gave the recommendation for waiver, and then it's up to the Board of Supervisors to act on it, whether they agree with that waiver or not.
All right.
From my opinion, it's either the fee in lieu of, they pay the fee in lieu of. So if we have to do the sidewalks later, Herbs, or they do the improvements now. That's generally been our practice. Am I correct in saying that, Greg?
We usually ask developers to have a choice between putting in road improvements and sidewalks, or give us a fee in lieu of that we can use that money elsewhere in the township for road improvements. It is totally up to the developer if they want to put in curbs or sidewalks or give a fee in lieu of.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep, thanks.
Okay, we good to move on?
Yes, Chris, thank you.
All right, I'm really having difficulties tonight with my setup here. All right, so the next applicant was the Green Top Road subdivision, Sal Lapio Homes. They have the property down at Hatch Basin and Green Top Roads there. They're looking to put in, I think, 7 homes. And I know they're going to present tonight, so I'll be brief. Again, one of the major issues was street improvements. They are allowing an easement to connect to the Huntsberger property, which has a trail easement, which will take it out to the frontage of their property. And they're going to install a walking trail around the front of the property. So there's a lot of discussion on how to construct that. And I will let them and their engineer and ours.
Okay.
Well,
All right. I guess Chris is having a little bit of difficulty. Was that the second applicant that he's speaking about? Or he's going to let them.
Yeah, they're
case.
on the agenda tonight. They're under the engineer's report.
Correct.
It's Green Top Road Subdivision LD 632, which will come up later in the meeting.
All right, Chris, I see you're back, I think.
again.
We'll see for how long. Anyway, hang on a second. Excuse me. I'm trying to find my notes now. So we did conditional preliminary based on dealing with all their outstanding items. So you will hear from them later in the meeting. And that is all I have.
Any questions for Chris?
I have none.
I have none.
Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion for approval of the planning commission report as presented.
So moved, David Collingwood.
Okay, motion
And back in the Joe.
second. All those signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Thank you. Thank you, Chris. Next on the agenda is the Park and Rec, Mr. Dave Rice.
All right, how's everybody doing tonight? Finally got
Good,
some
thanks.
sunshine. Baseball fields are clearing up and some good games are on. If you watched the game last night, that was my team, so it was a good game in the cold. All right, so we got Fishing Derby coming up this weekend. Hope everybody's excited. Everybody under 12 with an adult to supervise. We have a fishing derby from 9 a.m. to 12, and then it is open to the public. Hopefully get, a lot of little fishers out there and catch a lot of big fish. We got about 425, 140, 445, somewhere around there. Fish coming, a lot of big ones. So we kind of doubled up. We have been very fortunate with sponsors. Jay has done a great job reaching out to all the local companies and getting some good sponsorships, and making sure it's going to be a great event. We have the Farmers Craft Market coming up on May 21st. That is going to be, that is from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Saturday, May 21st. Then what we have is we have movie night in the park, August 13th. That's going to be at dusk, probably around 7:30, 8. Yeah, probably closer to 7:30, 8 o'clock when that movie would start. We haven't picked one yet, so we're still picking ideas. And then we have September Fest is our biggest event of the year, and that's coming up September 25th. And just as a reminder, I'd like to invite all supervisors to come and share the day. It's supposed to be sunny and 64 on Saturday to the fishing derby. It's going to be a great day, and I appreciate all you guys once again donating $50 to the 3 biggest fish. So that's always a plus when you guys are invested in the fishing derby. That is all I got.
Okay. Any other questions for Mr. Rice regarding the Park and Rec?
I have none.
None.
Thank you.
All right. I want to personally thank Mr. Collingwood and Mr. Shermer for donating the generosity of the $50, as well as myself, for the 3 largest fish caught. This is not something that has to be done. It is something that people choose to do. So thank you both publicly. I appreciate the support, and I know that this township and the kids that come really appreciate it. It seems to be a very, very good event every year. Thank you.
Thank you. It's for a good cause.
Of course.
All right. If there's Mr. Rice, I guess you're asking for a recommendation of the report, the approval of
Yes.
the report presented.
Please.
I'll make that
a
motion.
Okay, Mr. Collingwood, you made the motion.
Yes.
A second?
Al seconds it. All those signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, there are none. Passes. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is the Conservation Committee report. Mr. Michael Schrameyer.
Good evening. We had our last Conservation Committee meeting on March 17th, and we welcomed our new member to the Conservation Committee, Mr. Michael Souza, and he pretty much jumped right in and was very helpful at the meeting and informative, so I think he's ready to go. We also had a detailed discussion of the proposed conservation map that you see in your newsletter every, I guess, twice a year. And what we're trying to do is come up with better colors so it's much easier to identify the different types of properties that are preserved or fee simple or donated by developers. So we're still working on color schemes and trying to update the map to just make it a lot nicer to read. We also updated our database. I'm not sure if everyone's aware, but it is public knowledge. There is a property owned by the Lichendorf, if I pronounce that correctly. Part of it's in Montgomery County, part of it's in Bucks County. But we did add the section in Bucks County to our conserved properties because it is a farm that's preserved in Bucks County, and it's right next to, I guess, the quarry or near the quarry. That was pretty much the sum of our meeting. It was a short meeting that night. So I have no more.
Okay. Well, Mr. Schramer, I think that color scheme for the identification of the properties is a great idea. Very good. Any
Thank
other
you.
questions, Mr. Schramer, regarding the conservation report?
None.
Okay, seeing
I have none.
I'd entertain a motion for approval.
I'll move.
All right, I'll second the motion. Motion's been made and second. All those signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Thank you all. Thank you, Mr. Schrammmeyer.
You're welcome.
Okay, moving forward then, next up on the agenda is the commission reports, and the first on there is the police report. Chief Dickinson.
Good evening. The March 2022 activity report from the Penn Regional Police Department responded to 832 calls for service in the month of March. 361 of those calls were in East Rock Hill Township, and the remaining 471 were in West Rock Hill Township. We handled 25 traffic crashes. 9 were reportable, 16 were non-reportable. Only 4 of them were in East Rock Hill, and the remaining were in West Rock Hill. Criminal activity, our officers responded to 2 Part 1 crimes and 34 Part 2 crimes, totaling 36 crimes for the month of March. Our reported crimes in East Rock Hill Township for March of 2022: 1 theft report, 1 fraud, 1 drug investigation, 1 disorderly conduct, 4 calls of harassment, 4 dog law violations, and 1 nuisance violation, ordinance nuisance violation. West Rock Hill Township reported crimes: 1 theft of a purse, a fraud, 2 sex offenses, 1 drug paraphernalia, 3 disturbances, 2 harassment complaints, 1 terroristic threat complaint, 1 trespassing complaint, a fireworks complaint, 4 dog law violations, another nuisance violation, and 1 corruption of minors. Criminal charges that were filed in the month of March: 2 trespassing complaints, 1 hit and run crash, a citation for burning complaint, 2 charges of possession of drug paraphernalia, and 1 protection from abuse violation. Other police activities for March: 215 traffic enforcement details, 45 traffic citations were issued, 41 warnings were issued. We conducted 31 school checks, 117 park checks, 7 foot patrols, and our officers attended or participated in 162 and a half hours of training in March. So for the year, that brings us to 2,318 calls for service, 73 accidents that we responded to, 93 offenses, 26 criminal charges, and a total of 463 hours of training. And that would be the Penn Regional Police Commission's report for March 2022.
Okay. Are there any questions for the chief regarding his report by Mr. Collingwood or Mr. Shermer?
No questions from Mr. Shermer.
No questions on this end.
All right. Thank you very much. I'll entertain a motion for approval of the police report as presented.
So moved, David Collingwood.
Motion's been made.
Seconded, Shermer.
Second. All those signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Okay, moving forward, next on the agenda and under commission reports is the Joint Rec Authority. Jan Dietz. Jan, before you start, I think Mr. Jim Miller had a question regarding the Joint Rec Authority report.
That's fine. I'm in total agreement to that.
Okay. Are you there, Jim?
Yeah, sorry, I had to get off mute.
That's okay.
Thank you. Jim Miller, Thousand Acre Road. I haven't seen any minutes from the authority in the last few township minutes for the Board of Supervisors meetings. The authority receives funding from the authority receives funding from the township. And I think from a transparency perspective, I think the authority should be turning over copies of their minutes to the township. Because of that, the West Rock Hill and Sellersville Joint Rec Authority is an independent organization within the boundaries of West Rock Hill Township. And it must follow the rules and regulations of the township just as any other organization would. I'm aware that the Joint Rec Authority tore down the YMCA building, and that just left me with a few questions. You had pricing to demolish the building, but chose instead to have it torn down by volunteers. Was there a vote to not use the professionals to do this job? And if so, what was the vote? Did the authority work with the township to acquire all proper permits Did the authority contact PA one call prior to beginning the work to confirm location of underground pipes and electricity? Did the authority follow all EPA regulations and guidelines for removal of material like wood, metal, concrete, shingles, electrical wiring, and piping? The site still has a sizable concrete structure, and what are your plans to remove it? The security of the property from vandals and drug use, and there is drug use in the parking lot, was in part dependent on the exterior lighting. I believe all the exterior lighting connections for the parking lot have been removed from the concrete structure. So how are you safeguarding the area? And did you use licensed plumbers and licensed electricians to remove all utilities? I don't think you have all the answers tonight, but I would like to understand that. I think for the safety of the property, for the safety of the neighbors around it, I think we need some answers. Thank you. That's it.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Miller. Well, that's a lot to digest, Jan, I guess.
I can answer a good portion of that to Mr. Miller, if we would like to take the time to do that. And first of all, I will check into the minutes not being forwarded. I was not aware of that. I know that that was always done in the past, Jim, because of being on the committee. So I will check into that and find out where that is, and I will get them forwarded ASAP. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. As far as we go with the YMCA building, we voted unanimously to remove it. The structure was in very poor condition. We were afraid that at any point in time, someone would go in and become injured or whatever, and we didn't want that liability. And I think you understand that. We did have two bids out there, and one was high, one was low. One was at 22,000, the other one was at 35. We had volunteers to take the building down. We also had volunteers that companies volunteered, paid for the use of equipment for us. We had PA1 call was there. We had Dale Gerhardt was there. He's a licensed plumber. We had a licensed electrician there to undo the electric from, there was electric that went from the snack stand over. That was done properly also. The lighting for the parking lot was not known that there was a control panel in there. It was a discussion that was had, and someone said, yes, it was. That is being taken care of at the present time, and the lighting will go back on if it has not already. All of the debris from the building was taken away in dumpsters. I believe we had 8 dumpsters in total, and everything has been gotten rid of. There's nothing buried in the ground there. All that's there is the dirt. And speaking of the foundation that is left, we are going to be filling that with fill dirt. In fact, I'm looking for anybody that has any fill dirt. If we can find some, I would be happy, we would be happy to talk about that. Yes, it is a liability, and we do know that. I'm trying to think what other questions that you had for me, but I will go over the remainder of them and have answers to those at the next meeting. Mr. Miller, did I answer a good portion of your questions?
You absolutely did, Jan. Thank you very much. I guess the only remaining question would be about the permits. Other than that, I think you've answered all my questions. Thank you. Thank you.
And I'll get you that information.
All right, thank you. Appreciate it.
No problem. No problem. It was very hard decision for all of us. Everybody had a piece of that YMCA building that was very near and dear to them, but it also came down very quickly once it was started. And once it was started, it was down within 10 minutes. So, it was a good thing that we did remove it. But I will get you that information, okay?
Thank you very much.
Okay,
Appreciate it.
you're welcome. No problem. Anytime. Okay, guys, how is everyone?
Wonderful.
Good. Okay. Where do we start? Let's start with sustainability tonight. So that was a question that was asked at the last meeting. And we have moved forward. We are working on a grant at this point in time with Greenways Trails and Rec Program. With that grant, what we're looking for, the first portion, if awarded, would be to do a feasibility report and have that done. That has not been done since 2010. And that's done through the Department of Economic Development. So that is due May 31st. Behind the scenes, we've been working on that, trying to get all the information that we need to move forward with that. Another part that we have been working on is seeing what is needed to continue with the pool. A question was brought to me by Mr. Kaiser last meeting about the Holiday House Road front land. We have checked into that. We have Mr. Shermer heading up that program for us, that project. And he, if he wants to reiterate right now about what he has found, I'm more than happy to let him. Hal, do you want to talk to them? What about how we went forward with that at this point?
Yeah, very briefly. Al Shermer, former realtor appraiser and also current real estate agent, and been doing subdivisions and land development projects for the last 18 years. Right now, the zoning precludes residential use of the property. If the property was rezoned, you could split off a couple of lots along Holiday House Road. You might be able to put in a cul-de-sac and generate some, essentially a short-term or a one-time capital investment in the property, but that's going to take a bit of site clearing. So there is a possibility of trimming down the areas which are currently forested, which are not used as part of the active recreation of the property. That's on the table, but it still would have to be really reviewed to figure out how we can get the density, how we can get the connections to water and to sewer, and whether it would just be lotting off a couple of lots along Holiday House Road, whether putting in a cul-de-sac might be worthwhile, and what the cost benefit analysis is. It's a possibility, but it'll take probably 2, 3, 4, 5 years before anything would ever possibly happen on that if we decide, or if the authority decided to go down that route, and it would take some rezoning and lot line adjustments and several other changes. It's possible, but it's not going to happen anytime soon.
Thank you.
Into it, so we know that we have that as one of several different backup options.
Yeah, may I ask a question, Jan?
Yeah,
While
sure.
you're- Okay, thanks. While you're on that topic, because I looked at that property quite intensely there, and also Washington Avenue has quite a bit of land that was being mowed. I think 3 or 4 acres there in the front, along the frontage there.
Right.
That might also be. I'm not saying. I'm just throwing this out there to consider looking at that if you ever do decide long range plans. You know that something might be able to be done as far as utilizing some land for possible revenue down the road.
Right. And we talked briefly about that. Once we get a little further into that, what we're looking at, we'll let you know.
Thank you.
Yeah. So we did think about that too, Jay. So
I would chime in that since we have Mr. David Race here, that might make a pretty good baseball diamond at some point in the future. We'll have to talk, but as of right now, that's something in the future. But we get a nice flat piece of ground which goes uphill, and it's right nearby wherever you can walk to. So we'll talk later.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, moving forward. So getting to the YMCA building, that was quite a feat in itself. Everything was delivered on Thursday. They started Friday morning, and within 10 minutes of the start of the demolition, the building was collapsed. So we had 2 bids. One was for 23,000, the other was for 36, I think. We did it lock, stock, and barrel for $8,000. The most expense was the dumpsters to remove the debris. So that was the highest part of the expense. Everything else was donated, the machinery, the time. And I feel good about that we were able to do something and come in at such a low number and get rid of another liability that was there that needed to be taken care of. So with that being said, I am looking for fill dirt to fill in that foundation. So if you know of anyone or we have any somewhere, I would be great.
We can provide you as much filled dirt as you need.
Oh, great, Greg. Okay, I'll be in touch. All right, because we want to fill that in because that foundation there was the utility room for the building. And with everything taken out, it's like what, 8-9 foot high. And we're afraid somebody's going to fall in there or do whatever. We have everything blocked off. So that would be great. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you a lot. We did do some more repairs inside the pool. We had 2 windows that were broken that were replaced by Dave Jefferson. And that's been taken care of. We are going to be having a cleanup on May 7th, which the Boy Scouts are going to be attending with us. We are also going to be having a dine and donate at JT Bankers on May 10th, and 10% of their proceeds go to the Holiday House pool. Donations. With sending out our donation letters, we have received $4,200.
Great.
Yes, and we're very happy about that. And they keep trickling in. Yeah, every couple of days, another one comes. So I'll keep you updated on that, but I am happy about that also. What else have we been doing? We had the wall in the pool where you walk up the ramp, and that it has E.P. Henry blocks. Tony Borgner found someone that has blocks, and they donated them to us, and they match exactly. So we can use that to rebuild the wall there. So we're getting a lot of outside volunteers to help, which is awesome. People are always asking, what can we do? Whatever. One of the biggest things that I'm the most excited about is the West Rock Hill principal called me, Hill Elementary School. And she said, we cannot do field trips. She said, can we rent the pool out for one whole day for the school to come down? And they can go swimming. We're going to set up things in the field. And what price do you want? And the kids can walk down, and they'll be there from 10 to 2. And so we, as an authority, talked about it. We agreed about it. And they will be holding their end of the year party at a Holiday House pool. So we're quite excited about that. And moving along, the question is, do we have enough lifeguards? I know you're all waiting.
Yep.
We do have a pool manager, an assistant manager, a head guard, and 5 lifeguards so far. We have gotten quite a few applicants, and we're in the process of interviewing this week again for more lifeguards. So we are at a halfway point for lifeguards, and we are moving ahead with that. And, you know, it's just, I'm looking on the bright side. Yes, we are going to continue. I'll have a better, I mean, I wasn't quite sure what we were going to do. And all of a sudden it just kicked in and applications were coming in. So I want to give it another week or two and see where we are. I hope you understand, but I see improvement there. And, you know, do you have any questions for me?
I can only say you are making progress.
Yeah.
The important thing is to make sure that you have enough lifeguards to run the
Yes.
pool. That's
Yes.
the big thing.
I
And
did.
of course, you still have time.
I did speak to Quakertown Pool. They're short lifeguards. Menlo is short many lifeguards still yet. And Nakamixon Pool is not opening. So that's what we have. And I know that Souderton was running, they're the ones that subcontract out for lifeguards. And the lifeguard company was running a open house to try to get lifeguards. So I'm thinking, oh, well, I don't feel so bad. You know what I mean? It's not just us, it's everywhere, but we're moving ahead. So I'm excited. So, okay. All right.
I have a comment, Renee.
Sure.
First of all, I applaud your efforts. You have a really, really positive attitude. I had written down 4 things that I wanted to discuss that you discussed tonight. One was sustainability, lifeguards, donations, and the business model. It seems like everything is a work in process or in progress. You have spent $8,000, but you brought 4,200 in. So
Correct.
you're going in the right direction. The last and only question that hasn't been answered is, do you have anything to say about your business model, or is that still something that's
We're
being
still
developed?
we're still working towards that with everything that has trying to get the pool up and going and out there. We're not, I mean, we talk about it and then we get off off the in another direction. So David, you are right. We need to really talk about this, but all of our efforts right now are trying to get the pool to be open.
Great. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. And I think
one
that's it.
One follow-up question. The foundation, which is left under the YMCA building, what's the eventual plan for that?
The YMCA building?
Hmm? Well, the
We
basement
are part of the plan for the grant is that we put up a pavilion and that we can rent that out for a birthday party, parties, whatever. That is one of our ideas.
And the other side is storage?
You mean underneath?
Yes.
Okay, we need to fill that in. That's the part that needs to be filled in, Hal. Because we are we can't leave it open the way it is.
I meant long term.
Yeah, we won't dig it back out, the
Okay.
storage underneath. We won't, no. Anything else?
No
I have
questions?
nothing other than to say I applaud you. I applaud the volunteerism and the biggest concern is to try and make the pool be sustainable. And I
Absolutely.
think you're working hard to try to get that done. But the business
Absolutely.
model, as Mr. Collingwood stated, the business model, you definitely have to get on that and work on that
Right.
because
Right.
that is very important. We have some great businesses in these 2 communities. There is a Sellersville Borough and West Rock Hill Township are really, really good with the generosity of the businesses of these communities.
Mhm.
So
And that it shows with the donations that they've been giving.
absolutely.
Yeah, totally. And things that they've been offering for us and the volunteers, the people of the community too. I'm quite excited about it. So
Good. Okay.
Thanks. One follow-up. So can you quickly describe what outreach and donation requests you did put out or new member requests you put out?
new member request.
Oh, donation requests and member Request from businesses.
Oh, request for members, yes. Mr. Shermer, the wonderful guy that he is he set up a program for us that we go from a 5-mile to a 10-mile to a 15-mile radius of people moving into the area. And we're doing a mailing for that and welcoming them to the area. We are also putting signs together to be posted in different locations as to where the Holiday House Pool is. Anybody that comes into the community will get a welcome card. So we are moving in that direction. I am sorry, Hal. That is your great program, and I apologize.
Jan,
Yes.
Your job,
Uh,
your program.
this is Don Krauthammer. Just to let you know, we did get those cards printed up at Staples, and I just got them, I think, yesterday or the day before.
Okay,
So
thank you.
They'll be going out shortly.
Okay, thank you. So, yeah, so we'll get those out to the community.
Okay, is that it?
That's it.
All right.
And I hope to see you all come to the Dine and Donate.
Yes.
You can, go ahead.
Go ahead.
We
No,
will,
no.
I won't, Kevin and I will not be there.
Okay. All right. With that report, extensive report, I'd like to entertain a motion for approval.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, motion's been made by Mr. Collingwood, seconded by Mr. Shermer. All those signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Jan.
much. Thank you.
Okay, moving forward, next on the agenda is the tax collector's report. Suzanne Clark.
Good evening, everyone. Okay, for annual taxes for the month of April, I've collected $237,850.11 in annual taxes, 22 interims, $34.85, 21 interims, $18.87, and streetlight tax, $3,787.29. That's really all I have to report for tax collecting, but I did want to just tell Jan that whenever we have a new resident that does come into West Rock Hill Township, I always send them a welcome to West Rock Hill package, and I do reference the Holiday House Pool. So I'm doing my part too to try to get everybody aware that we do have a pool. I do share your website, and any questions or concerns, I do direct them to your area. So just want to let
Thank you.
know that I do. I'm trying to help you too.
Yeah, I know you are. Thank you.
You're welcome. But that's all I have for tax collecting.
Okay, thank you, Suzanne. If there's no questions for Suzanne, I will entertain a motion for approval.
Make that. So moved, David Collingwood.
Okay,
And
motion made,
Mr.
second,
Shermer?
Mr. Shermer. All those signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Thank you. Moving forward, next on the agenda is the engineer's report. Mr. Steve Balla.
Hey, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So the first item on the report was the culvert repair program. If you recall, we rebid that last month. We reworked the projects to take out the largest project on Old Bethlehem Pike, but we also added a project that Public Works had asked for, another culvert on 1,000 Acre Road, I believe. And as you can see, we are still just above $100,000. So talking with township staff, we're recommending to, again, reject these bids, and we're going to rebid it with the culverts being a bunch of alternates, and then we could pick and choose what we need to do. Unfortunately, some of the prices went up with the materials and problems that we have right now with getting supplies, so that's what we're running into. So our recommendation is to reject the bid, and we'll rework it.
Okay.
I guess you should make a motion to that
Yep.
to that effect, so we can
All right.
notify the contractors.
I'll make a motion that we reject the bids.
Second, David Collingwood.
Motion's been made and second. All those signify by saying aye. Aye. All right. Got it, Steve.
Okay, thank you. So the second item is a possible sewer extension project along Old Bethlehem Pike. As you are aware, the McLennan Tract in East Rock Hill Township has been, well, it's been active for a proposed development for 20 years, but they finally have a developer that received a preliminary approval for construction on the property. And what East Rock Hill Township is looking at is this project. The McLennan Tract will bring public water and public sewer to that section of Old Bethlehem Pike near, let's say, Tabor Road would be the one existing road there. So that puts us square in the area of the water problem, the groundwater problem that we have now, and some properties that have, let's just say, poor existing septic systems. So East Rock.
Should Steve be sharing a screen so he can see the map? Or do we have that on the?
I think it's in the packet, isn't it, Greg?
Well, it's in the packet, but nobody else.
Yeah, I can look for it while you continue.
All right, good. Yeah, I have it on my other computer. I'm sorry, I'm using my laptop, so I don't have it.
Because it
loaded
doesn't
on
show
here.
up on the screen for anybody who's not a supervisor. So
Okay, I'm sorry. I thought they had it in the packet. Well, let me just explain the
we
concept.
got
and
it
then,
back. We have it in the packet, but everybody else is looking like, what? Where is it?
right, I meant on the slideshow. I'm sorry.
No, fine.
So let me finish the concept, and maybe Greg could find that to put up. So knowing, we've already had discussions. I believe that the, West Rock Hill and East Rock Hill of potentially piggybacking on the development, bringing water to the area to extend public water to serve those properties with the groundwater contamination in that area. What East Rock Hill is also considering is, if we're already running water and are going to dig up the roads, should we also run sewer at the same time, try to get economies of scale for restoration and whatnot to get both projects done. The first step to do that would be to do a revision to your Act 537 plan. This is an area identified as public sewer service, but similar to Ridge Road, what we had to do on Ridge Road, you need to do a municipal amendment to your plan to show exactly how you would serve it. So the letter that was received from the manager in East Rock Hill is essentially requesting that West Rock Hill agree to participate with East Rock Hill in amending the 537 plans as a joint project. It doesn't commit anyone to actually building the lines, but it's the first step that you have to accomplish before you could do a project to extend sewer lines in the area.
I have a question, Mr. Bala.
Yes.
Do we have any idea how much it would cost for West Rock Hill to update their 537 plan?
Roughly, assuming that DEP will require the same level of paperwork that they did on Ridge Road, probably in the area of $5,000 to $6,000. That would be split between the townships. So $2,500, $3,000 per township, give or take. It's mostly a paperwork shuffle. It's not developing plans and or construction. It's notifying property owners, preparing some preliminary budgets, and going through a public notice project where you advertise in the paper and have a public meeting, and allow people the opportunity to ask questions.
First step.
Yeah, it would be the first step. There's the map. Thank you, Greg. So the red line is the McLennan Tract subdivision. The blue line is the East Rock Hill Township properties that could be relatively easily served. Essentially goes to the top of the hill, we'll say, on Old Bethlehem Pike. And then the orange area is West Rock Hill. West Rock Hill area is much larger, only because it includes that development off of Tabor Road, which could be connected also, in addition to the properties going north on Old Bethlehem Pike. And again, this is, our first guess at the line. We could always add a property, take a property out as we go, depending on what we identify the needs are. This was just a first blush of the obvious area that could be connected. So I suppose what East Rock Hill is just looking for, an acknowledgement from West Rock Hill if you're interested in proceeding with the sewage planning part of the project. I guess one thing I didn't say, but you're well aware of, East Rock Hill owns their own sanitary sewer system. So constructing the lines in East Rock Hill is East Rock Hill Township does that themselves. Serving properties in West Rock Hill Township, that is PRA's service area. So after you would do the sewage planning, which is a township obligation, anything to do with actually serving the properties would be something East Rock Hill would have to work with PRA to do, not necessarily West Rock Hill Township.
I was going to bring that up, Steve. Thank you for pointing that out, because I know that the service here. I just question, that this is something East Rock Hill's doing. Greg, what's your recommendation as far as us spending money to do this Act 537 update?
My recommendation is you should start it. If the water ever goes up there, it is less expensive to run both than to run water at one time than sewer at another time.
Okay.
Yeah, this would really lay the groundwork to be able to do that sewer line later when the opportunity arises.
Okay. Very well. Do we need to do something regarding that matter? Make a motion?
If I
Go ahead, Hal.
If I can quickly chime in, there was a Zoom meeting among several different townships, and Mr. Nyman from East Rock Hill was on the call to U.S. Congressman Fitzpatrick. There is an actual bill now to help provide funding for remediation of the firefighting foam contamination, which was essentially drafted pretty much with the Willow Grove Naval Air Station and also Tabor Road, Old Bethlehem Pike in mind. So there is a format for getting funding to fix this and do this. It's a question of getting all the moving parts moving at the same time.
I thought that was just for the water, Hal, not the sewer.
Well, I know it's for if you're digging trenches and you got the equipment on site, then
The water's the issue. The water was the problem from the fire, the wells.
yeah, the water is the contamination issue, but on the other hand, you also have certain benefits of scale. If you've got a D7 loader on the site, you can use it for both trenches. But it's a question of figuring out how generous they're going to be in their interpretation of what you're using things to dig holes in the road for. But there is some light at the end of the tunnel, and there is also some funding towards this, whether it's at the federal level, whether it's a state DEP. We know that everybody's realized that, this is something that we kind of sort of need to look at and fix.
Okay. So at this point, I think we probably should start the process of the paperwork area or updating that area. Am I hearing that from my two fellow supervisors?
Yes.
I agree. Yes.
Okay. All right. So you need a motion, Steve, in order to.
I would make that motion.
All right. We have a motion made by Mr. Collingwood, and we have a second by Mr. Shermer. All those signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The first step that we'll do is send a letter to DEP on behalf of East Rock Hill and West Rock Hill, indicate that we want to do this special study area. They'll give us the authorization, tell us what the ground rules are of what paperwork we have to give them. So, that's the way it'll get started. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Got it.
Steve.
Next item. I think it might have been in reverse order. I wanted to give you an update on some of the projects that were coming to the end of their maintenance period. We have 3 of them. Fedegari Technologies, Magnetic Specialties, and Caroluzzi tract subdivision. Of the three, Fedegari Technologies is the only one that, for my inspection, is completely satisfactory, and I recommend that you release the remaining construction escrow funds for the project. Magnetic Specialties and Caroluzzi have a few outstanding issues, partially landscaping that, we have to wait a little bit into the spring to get that done. And those, I recommend that we notify them that we will not release their remaining escrow until they clean up their landscape items. So if you are in agreement, you can make a motion to release the remaining escrow funds for Fedegari Technologies, and I will notify the other two projects that we will not release their funds yet.
Okay. I would make a motion that we release the Fedegari funds, but not the other two.
I'll
Do I
second
have a
that.
second? Okay, motion's been made and second. All those signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, that brings us to Green Top Road subdivision, which Chris indicated before was before the Planning Commission. We have representative from South Lapio Homes, Mike Matek, I believe, is on the call, and his engineer. So I will give them the opportunity to give you a brief rundown on the project.
Hi, yes, Brandon Bialik with the Crossroads Group here. Just to give a brief overview, may I share my screen up or?
Greg?
Absolutely, because I'm having problems with my screen. It keeps.
Yeah, I noticed it. It's a big file, so it's
So
kind of
I'm
slow.
having a technical issue.
Here, give me 1 second.
There we go.
There we go.
All right. Plan up, everyone can see that?
Uh-huh.
So just to give a brief overview, Green Top Road subdivision, our site's located at the intersection of Green Top Road and Catch Basin Road. We're proposing to do a 7-lot subdivision. 2 of those lots are flag lots, lots 4 and 6 here. All the lots will be serviced by individual wells and on-lot sewer. We had testing done by Penns Trail Environmental. There's primary and reserve systems shown here on the plan. We've addressed a lot of the issues from the previous Wynn Associates review letter from March. I know it was brought up about the trail that runs along the frontage of the property, so I'm sure that'll be a discussion. But the most recent letter from April 6th, we'll be complying with almost all those comments, with the exception of a few waiver requests that we have. And as far as the trail goes, I don't know if we would like to go item by item with the review letter, or just kind of hit on some of the key points in that letter.
Well, if you know that everything's a will comply in the letter, just hit the items that aren't will complies, and then you can get to the trail issue, which is what the board seems to be most concerned about.
Okay. So as far as our waiver requests go, the first one would be from Saldo section 505.13, which is for curbs and sidewalks. We're not looking to install them along the frontage of the property. The second waiver request would be from Stormwater Management Ordinance section 308 and 7, which is regards to the BMP plantings across the site. We're asking for a waiver for a reduced number of plantings for that, because we are looking to use a number of plantings for DEP standards for to take evapotranspiration credits. And also, all of the basins are in, the whole site's very heavily wooded, so all of the proposed BMPs on each lot are screened pretty effectively with the existing trees that we're preserving across the site. The next 2 waiver requests are just in regards to storm sewer piping material and the size. Just on the interior of the site, we're asking for a waiver to use HDPE pipe and in the size of 15 inches for all of our stormwater BMPs on the internal part of our site. So those are our waiver requests there. And I believe we submitted a waiver request letter as well. So,
Yes, you did submit a letter, and just if I could just piggyback on your discussion there. The two stormwater items about piping, those are for on-lot individual stormwater BMPs. We have, granted waivers on that type of facility before. They are using our standard pipe out in the street, concrete pipe, 18 inches. The landscape plantings, I agree with Brandon. It's hard to put all the plantings that are required around these little stormwater basins because it's all wooded around them. So I think that really the item to talk about is the street improvements. Curb, I think they definitely are not proposing curb. Sidewalk, what they're proposing, or what the planning commission had discussed, was a paved path in lieu of sidewalk, essentially widen the road to 14 feet from center line, which would be the required widening along the entire frontage, have a 4-foot grass shoulder, and then have a 4-foot paved path around the frontage, both on Greentop Road and around to Catch Basin Road. And Brandon, if you could show where that easement is, that
yeah, sure.
to the Hunsberger property.
Yes. Let me zoom in here a little bit. Ooh, that was too much. So the proposed easement, this is off of Catch Basin Road here up in this corner of the property. This is the easement here. It's 20-foot wide trail easement that runs along what would be the driveway for lot 4. It's about a 14,000 square foot area. And then that runs back here to approximately where the trail to the Hunsberger property would be connecting. And then as far as along the frontage, where we would be proposing our paved trail, is this gray hatched area here that runs along the entire frontage of the property. And as Steve mentioned, we're doing a 14-foot cartway hat width with a 4-foot grass strip and then a 4-foot paved bike trail, walking trail.
Can I ask a question regarding that?
Yes.
Who's gonna maintain that?
That would be on the property owner, is what we discussed in the planning commission meeting.
Okay, I just want to make sure that that's where that there's grass mowed there, and there's also the trail, the paving trail.
Yes.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
And then Brandon, is it safe to say that all the remaining items in the letter will comply?
Yes, just some of like the other things. We are working with DEP. We received their review letter, so we're working on getting their comments addressed for MPDS permit, as well as Penn Trail Environmental is working on the sewage permitting for the site, the planning module. So those are some other items that are being worked on currently.
Okay, and you're looking, well, the Plan Commission recommended for preliminary approval only while you get those other items worked out. That's correct?
Yeah, we would be asking for conditional preliminary approval tonight.
Steve, I have one question for you, if you may.
Yes.
Is the trail there, that paved trail in that area, is that, and the widening of the road, is that adequate as far as the improvements as a trade-off for as what we would take for fee in lieu of instead?
Well, it is for the widening and sidewalk. There would still be the issue of a fee in lieu of for curb if we're granting a waiver for curb.
Yep, I just wanted to make sure that is aware, that Brandon is aware of that.
Well, I also have one comment. It's Mike Matzak, Sell Apio Homes. We also are rebuilding all the cross culverts on the road that are shallow and basically clogged up. So that was a part of what I had talked to Steve. We had talked to Steve about the trade-off in fee in lieu of for sidewalk. We were doing the extra widening, and we're replacing all the culverts with concrete pipe that cross from the, I don't know what it would be, the if you're coming in on Green from the left side to the right side, that then the water would come onto our property, which currently they're pretty much non-existent.
What we've done oftentimes is, we do the exercise of preparing the cost estimate for the improvements that are waived, and then an estimate of what additional work you might be doing, and compare the two. If it's short of that number, then there may still be a contribution. If it's not,
Correct.
we'll work it out.
Sounds fair to me. I don't have any other questions there, Steve.
So then our typical process would be for you to authorize the solicitor to prepare the resolution for next month's meeting.
Okay. Do I have a motion to prepare this with the solicitor for next month's meeting?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, motion's been made by Mr. Shermer.
I will, David Collingwood, I'll make the second with a comment. I was at the meeting, and I was very pleased with the process that was worked through from the beginning of figuring out how to do the road and the trail. And it went through many different iterations during the meeting, and I think what they ended up with at the end was the right way to go. I was pleased with that. So with that said, yeah, I second that.
All right, thank you, Mr. Hollingwood. And I think it does look appropriate from what is shown on the plan here.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure that we made sure we covered the bases on all the fee in lieu of or the improvements.
Right.
I was listening in on the meeting, and we hammered that out more than you would normally do. So I think it was a very good.
All right, thank you. So motion's been made and second. All those signify by saying aye to move this forward to have Mary prepare for next month's meeting.
Aye.
Signify aye. Ayes have it. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Yep. You're welcome.
And that is all I have on my report, unless there's any other questions.
I have no questions. I'll make a motion to approve the engineer's report as presented.
Okay, motion's been made. Second? I'll
I
second
will
it.
second.
All right.
And I
you
will
second.
chip in that Mr. Collingwood and I generally attend the planning commission meetings. So we've already listened to this, which is why it's usually unanimous, because we already sat through the planning commission meeting to understand everything that's going on, in case anybody wonders why it's usually a unanimous vote, because we already sat through 4 hours of listening to this prior to.
Wonderful.
In case nobody's asking. But I second.
Thank you. Motion been made and second, and it carries. So thank you. All right, moving forward then. Next on the agenda is the solicitor's report. Mary.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have nothing to report this evening.
Oh, okay. Very good. All right, so we don't need to approve a report then, because there's no report. Moving
No,
forward.
sorry.
That's okay. Moving forward to the next on the agenda is the manager's report. Mr. Lippincott?
Yes, Brandon, can you stop presenting so we can put the agenda back up?
Sorry, I didn't realize it was still on there.
No problem. We'll get it. We'll get the agenda back up. The first item is the under the manager's report is the Penridge Community Day 50th anniversary request for donations. We gave $100 last year. I'd like to know what the board's wishes were to contribute this year.
I would myself, I would recommend we stay with the same amount, and I would even make that in a form of a motion if the other two fellow supervisors are okay with that.
I'll second that, David Collingwood.
Okay. Motion's been made and second. All those signify by saying aye.
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 Yeah, you got it.
Thank you. The next item is authorization to go out for bids for roads. In the board's packet, you have a list of roads. I'd like to go out for Mountain View, Old Mill Road, Catch Basin Road, Forest, Mountain View, Washington Avenue, and Simmons Roads. But I'd like to bid a majority of them as alternates so that we can get with prices going all over the place. I don't know what will fit. So I would just like authorization to go out to bid with most of them as alternates.
I would agree with that.
I agree. I will bring up the question, which I think I asked before, is can we put a North Mountain View and South Mountain View to distinguish between the two halves of the road that are cut by 309?
Correct. We did talk about that today, Hal, and we will make sure that it is North Mountain View, not the short section of Mountain View close to Ridge Road.
Or
We'll do
eventually
that in-
perhaps turn South Mountain View back into a private road, because thing like 2 people on it or 3 people who have driveways on it. Just
Well, we can reach out.
I'm
We
sure-
could reach out to those homeowners if they were interested in it going back into a private road. It only
I'm
goes
sure
back.
UPS and I'm sure it drives UPS and Amazon nuts when they show up at the wrong address. And this is Mountain View Road. Nope, drive 3 miles around to get to there. But maybe we can officially put a north and south on that, similar to what we do with Tower Road. But nothing else.
Okay, let's give that some thought. Okay, Greg.
Okay.
All right, thank you. So we are going to authorize bids. We need a motion for that, right?
Correct.
I'll make that.
Okay. Mr. Collingwood, you made the motion?
Yes.
I will second. Motion's been made and second. All those signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
That's all I have.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, next on the agenda is old business. Anybody have any old business to discuss?
I'm not quite sure, David Collingwood, I'm not quite sure if this is old or new business, but I think it's old since it's been so long. Does anybody have any idea when Cat Hill Road is going to be taken care of? I mean, I see that they're milling in the area, a lot of other roads. So, and I see that they put numbers all over the road, then they all faded away like a year ago. It's just, that road is horrible.
I reached out to Cat Hill. I reached out to PennDOT, and they responded to me in an email that they will get to it when time and resources permit. That's what they said to me in an email.
That's a
Ooh,
joke.
We'll get to it when we get to it.
I have that in writing.
Wow.
Thank
Can
you.
Yes. Can I ask you a follow-up, Greg, like once a week, send the same email?
Yes, I can do that, but I would also urge board members to contact the elected representatives. So we should start doing that.
I will tell you, I did that already in previous years, and I didn't get very far. But yes, okay, we can reach out again.
If it's any consolation, Bethlehem Pike was on last year's pavement list, and they are finally got to that now. So
right,
I think Cat Hill was on last year's list. So if we cross our fingers, maybe it'll be after Bethlehem Pike is done.
All right, thank you, Steve.
And we can mention to the attendees that, so what is it, 1-800-POTHOLE, and keep calling PennDOT to fill in the holes. So at least you don't lose a tire or bend a rim while you're driving.
Yeah.
At least put some cold patch in there or a little spray thing.
Okay.
Hot patch.
Next on the agenda would be, unless, Hal, do you have any old business, any other old business?
Nope.
Okay. Next on the agenda would be new business. Does anybody have any?
I have none.
I have none.
I have none myself either. Okay. Next, moving forward is public comment. If you have public comment, please state your name and address, please. Thank you. Greg, you see anything?
Only Christine Shelley, if she wants to speak, or does she just want me to read her email?
Christine, are you there?
I am here. Sorry, I had to unmute myself. I just still have questions about the
I need you
Green
to
Top
name
Road.
and address. Just name and
I'm
address for the minutes.
Sorry. Christine Shelley, 50 Wayland Road. I still have questions about the Green Top Road project. I want to know if there was a traffic study that was done. That the traffic that spills out from there is probably going to come down Wayland Road when they're coming home from work, and cars go flying by. I just don't see Wayland Road. I don't see how it's going to be widened any further than it is. Was that looked at? I know it was talked about, I think 2 months ago. I missed this last meeting. Was there any kind of traffic study done?
None to my knowledge. Steve, you know anything?
Sorry,
You're
I was getting to my mic there. I do know, yeah, there was not a specific traffic study done, but our ordinance does not require traffic studies for developments of this size. They need to be larger before our ordinance kicks in to require a traffic study.
Another question was, I haven't heard anything about streetlights. We had brought that up, I believe, 2 meetings ago, what the plan was for that. And also, I'm just going to raise the question again, why do we have to give waivers on ordinances and, you know, with things like the plantings? Why these guys are coming in to build houses on lots to make some money? Why not make the lots a little bit bigger? Back here, it's like farmland, and you're talking about changing the characteristics of our community back here. And I just think that a little more scrutiny is deserved when we're, you know, I know they want to get this project in and they want to, you know, build these houses and you know, cut down all the trees out here, but I just think that we should carefully think about it. That's all. Those are my comments. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I could comment on the lighting. Generally, in the rural areas, the Planning Commission doesn't recommend regular, typical street lights, but they do require driveway lampposts at each driveway entrance.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Steve. Thank you for your comments too, Christine. All right. Any other public comment, Greg?
There is none here, unless someone else
Okay.
on the meeting wants to speak up.
Do we need a executive session or not? I forgot to check on that earlier.
Yes, we need an executive session.
Okay. All right. So seeing no other public comment, I would entertain a motion to adjournment into executive session, which we will hold after this meeting.
So moved, David Collingwood.
Okay. Motion's been made by Mr. Wood, seconded by Mr. Shermer. All those signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you all for coming and thank you for your participation. Much appreciated.
Yes, thank you, everyone.
Have a good night. Hopefully we might see you on Saturday.